You do not fill up a car once it's empty, right? So you need to take care of yourself.
I saw this very nice post yesterday, which Malaika Arora had put up, and she said that, men think that women dress for them, and they don't realize that women dress as per their mood, as per their period calendar, as per their hair wash calendar. There's so much that goes behind it.
Men are taught to be proud of their body, and women are always told that you need to have a certain kind of body. Some things that are not even under your control, the skin and the hair that you're born with, right? And you're shamed and judged for that as well. Pleasure is something that drives us, it is something that motivates us, and it need not be something that induces guilt and shame. If you're not in a good space mentally, if you're not in a good space in your relationship wise, the performance in the bedroom or the sexual performance is going to get affected.
I just want to remind you that this is your safe space for the science, the soul, and sass of intimacy and wellness. This is the pleasure principle. It's time to unlearn, get curious, to feel more fearless, and find freedom in your own body. I have the pleasure of introducing Dr. Mansi Jain. She's a psychiatrist, has been practicing for over 10 years now. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for such a warm welcome.
One more episode, and today's episode is a love letter to something we don't talk nearly enough about. This episode is your safe, sensual space to start saying yes to yourself. Pleasure, please. Meeting your sensual self and pleasure. So, Dr. Mansi, let's start by asking you, what is the difference between sensuality, sexuality, and pleasure, and how are they connected?
So, sexuality refers to, your sexual experiences, sexual wellness, how comfortable you feel exploring your sexuality, and your pleasure definitely refers to, how you feel good. So, sensuality and sexuality both are responsible for your pleasure principle and for your pleasure, actually.
And why is it important to explore your own definition of pleasure? And I'm guessing everybody has a customized version, right?
Yes, actually. So, nothing in the world is uniform. So, everybody is different. We all as humans are so different. We all have such, unique likes and dislikes. So, obviously, what we find pleasurable is also going to be different. We cannot go by a standard template because, usually what you see in media or what you might be seeing online is sometimes just so superficial or sometimes just so inaccurate and unrealistic. So, it's good to always know what you like so that you can feel your best self when you are exploring that.
Right. And, in a society where we are often told that talking about sex is taboo, talking about sexuality and sensuality is taboo, how can we start meeting our sensual self?
It's going to be a long journey, right? So we start with conversations about it. And then after, we start getting comfortable with regards to the conversations around it, we also start exploring what is it that we like. The simplest way to do would be to use your five senses, So it need not be sexual. It can be just, pleasant. Yeah. So you might be liking certain scents or certain smells. That is one way to kind of, arouse your senses. We have taste and we have texture. So, certain clothes can feel so uncomfortable or certain shoes can feel so uncomfortable, and they don't make you feel pleasant. So if you're not in a good state of mind, if you're not in a pleasant state of mind, exploring all other kinds of pleasure becomes difficult.
Also, the guilt factor that comes in. Sometimes you're made to, and more for women, in fact, I feel you're made to feel so guilty about experiencing pleasure, about making your body feel good.
Yes, so women and all marginalized communities, right? So your LGBTQ communities, your queer community, they would all be told that no, it's not okay for you to explore your sensuality and sexuality. So that becomes very difficult. For that, we need to understand that guilt and shame is something that we learn. These are not internal emotions. The first time you experience pleasure, be it sensual or sexual, you don't experience shame unless someone tells you that, oh, it's wrong for you to feel this way. You do not experience guilt unless someone tells you that, okay, this is wrong and you're bad for doing it. So understand that, your pleasure and your sensuality, sexuality need not be something that induce guilt. It's usually a journey how to overcome that guilt, which requires a lot of exploration and self-compassion. So, you need to be empathetic towards yourself and allow yourselves to feel the pleasure.
Can you take me through the process of guilt and shame, especially in our context, Indian subcontext, for people from the LGBTQA plus community?
So for the LGBTQ A+ community, what usually happens is that, once they start realizing that they are not kind of, fitting into the larger population, so, or their experiences are different from what their peers are experiencing, and, maybe unknowingly they might communicate that, and they're usually met with a, negative kind of a feedback. So somebody criticizes you, somebody mocks you, somebody kind of, scolds you. So somebody who's exploring their sexuality and dresses differently or talks differently or, prefers different interactions will be mocked or scolded or, shamed. And that's an early experience that you have as a child. And as children, we learn how to interact with our environment.
Yeah.
So once you've had a negative experience, you carry it. The next time I'm, tempted to explore or I'm tempted to kind of disclose anything about myself, I will stop myself. So it's almost like carrying a burden on a day-to-day basis, So imagine not being able to be yourself, always having to think, okay, I need to put up a fake self outside so that, I am not judged or I am not mocked or I'm not targeted for that matter.
Take us through some basic practices, body practices that one can sort of practice to feel pleasure and to feel connected with their own body.
So, these basic practices would differ from person to person. I could talk about the principle. The basic principle that we talk about, when you talk about, exploring your sensuality or sexuality, it has to be integrating your five senses, five basic senses that we have. So, it could be as simple as, when you're taking a shower, how do you feel when the water hits your body? Or, and we do so many things on an autopilot mode. Like, I'm sure we bathe with the same body shower gel every morning, but we'll not be able to recollect the scent because we are already planning which train to catch or planning our day in our head when we are actually bathing, right? Or just, applying your perfume. How does it feel? What is the fragrance? What are the notes that hit you when you are smelling it? Or when you're eating your food, we eat in such an autopilot mode that we're not aware of the taste and the flavors, right? Or when you're wearing your dress for the day, right? How does it feel? When you look at yourself, what kind of a feeling do you get? What do you appreciate about yourself? So, the basic principle remains that you integrate your five senses, you kind of, feel connected with your body and your experiences, and that can turn any activity, right, into kind of a pleasure seeking activity or a sensual activity. Specifically, if you talk, dance is one great form of activity which kind of allows you to explore sensuality and your senses. Aromatherapy, massages, right, or just, soothing touch. Just understanding what kind of touch you like and what kind of touch you don't like. One barrier that happens is that when people have had traumatic experiences like abuse in the past, right, they might find it very difficult to explore their sensualities or sexuality because that triggers a lot of negative responses and it triggers a lot of anxiety in them. So in that case, professional help would be kind of recommended. But for most other people, just exploring their own body with touch and other sensations is something that's helpful.
I like how the bottom line is sort of coming down to being mindful when you're eating, when you're smelling, even when you're sleeping, just being mindful and understanding how your body reacts to these things. I want to understand that how does gender conditioning come into the picture? Because, as kids, we are often told that, oh, men can do this or boys can do this and women can't do this, girls can't do this. So talk to us about that.
So, gender conditioning is just so biased in our country, in our culture at least, that, men are taught to be proud of their body and women are always told that you need to have a certain kind of body to
Cover
even
up
feel
all the time.
Cover up the way you look, how you look, some things that are not even under your control, the skin and the hair that you're born with, right? And you're shamed and judged for that as well. And you're expected to meet certain standards to feel a certain way. You cannot be allowed to feel good if you have curly hair when curly hair is not in trend, right? It's just so unfair and it's just so, suddenly now curls are in trend and like in fashion, right? So everybody's flaunting their curls. And there was this one period of time when everybody was straightening their hair just out of sheer compulsion. Like to a certain extent, like, even if we talk about world politics, like women, like, the spouses of, the most powerful presidents, they are expected to have a certain kind of hair to improve their popularity in the country. So yeah, women and men are held to different standards, and unfortunately men also suffer the brunt of it. It's not that it's only for women. So men are also supposed to have this tall physique, or they need to be muscular, so
six-pack abs
or dole shole kind of things. So something like that. We all have certain cultural restrictions and certain expectations imposed upon us, and that does not allow us to feel good in our own bodies.
And I think one of the bigger challenges here is how irrespective of what you do or what you are, it's never enough. If you have curves, they need you to be thinner. If you're thin, they'll say, oh, you look like a matchstick, you should have a little bit of curves. If you have straight hair, they say, oh, your hair has no character. If you have curly hair, then they say, oh, your hair is like a witch. So nothing is ever enough, right?
Exactly. And as long as we are chasing external validation, this is what is going to happen. Cultural norms, societal norms keep changing. What is in trend, what looks good, what doesn't look good keeps changing. I think the best outfit would be your confidence, right? That is what speaks across your physical appearance, your emotional state. So if you are confident in what you are, how you feel, how you look, how you dress, it's definitely going to translate.
You know, I love that statement where you say the best thing you need and you need to wear is your confidence. So tell me, what are everyday practices, small things that people can do to bring back sensuality to their life for themselves?
Being your authentic self, doing what you like, taking efforts to kind of make yourself feel good, right? So, don't save the best outfit for a special day, right? Wear them, right? Dress up for work, or, take care of yourself physically, mentally. All of these things reflect, into how you are feeling and how you are carrying yourself throughout the day. So, that is very important for men as well as women.
You know, I saw this very nice post yesterday, which Malaika Arora had put up, and she said that, men think that women dress for them, and they don't realize that women dress as per their mood, as per their period calendar, as per their hair wash calendar. There's so much that goes behind it.
As per the travel time that is going to be required, the footwear, the clothing, everything changes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, Dr. Mansi, we've spoken about this before, but can you tell me, how does self-touch help you understand your own pleasure blueprint?
Correct. So self-touch is something that builds awareness into yourself, not just sexually, but sensually, what you like and what you don't like. A lot of people have certain sensory issues, so they might be averse to certain kind of sensations. A lot of people don't like being touched. A lot of people don't like strong smells. A lot of people don't like certain textures. So when you are aware of this, you can let your partner know, you can be assertive as to what you want, what you don't want, and you're more confident and, more true self of yourself.
Right.
You're more true with yourself.
Right, right. And also, I want to bring in aphrodisiacs here. I'm sure, for a lot of people, smell is like a good perfume is an aphrodisiac. People and media constantly talks about strawberry and chocolates. People talk about, like we spoke some time back, about candles and lighting and mood and all of that. So it's different for everybody. So is there a way one can experience aphrodisiacs and then identify that, "Achha, I like this"?
So most of the things that we talked about are things which kind of, make you feel good. They are more based on the pleasure principle and sensuality principle. Technically speaking, aphrodisiac is something which would boost your libido. So that usually doesn't happen just with external factors. So just candlelight or just strawberries are not going to make you feel sexually aroused, right? That requires the chemistry with your partner, or if you are in the mood for it, then with yourself. So we can experience aphrodisiacs based on, all the five senses and what we usually like. Some of these that we talked about, like candles, smells, and certain fruits and fragrances, are the typical ones. And it's better to explore this, before you kind of decide whether you like it or not. So trying it by yourself or with your partner is something that can help you experience them.
Last question for this episode. How can we redefine pleasure as a form of self-care beyond sex?
By understanding that guilt and shame is something that we have been conditioned into, and that's not a natural response to pleasure, right? Understand that if we are taking care of ourselves, we are taking care of everyone around us. We do not fill up a car once it's empty. Right? So you need to take care of yourself before you kind of feel that it's become a necessity instead of, a need. So that is something that we need to understand, that pleasure is something that drives us. It is something that motivates us, and it need not be something that induces guilt and shame.
That's such a great thought, because I really feel partners who pleasure each other, and I don't mean just in terms of sexual intercourse, but on a larger scheme of things. When they pleasure each other, they're just so much nicer to each other, and they're more willing to go the extra mile for their partner.
Absolutely. So, there's a theory which says that, for every negative interaction that you have with your partner, so let's say you and I, or my partner and I, have one argument, right? It's going to take 3 to 4 more positive interactions to counter the effect of that one negative interaction. So, and with long-term couples or with partners, this is a known fact that if you're not in a good space mentally, if you're not in a good space in your relationship wise, the performance in the bedroom or the sexual performance is going to get affected. So you turning towards your partner, knowing your partner's love map, your roadmap to your partner's emotional place, that is something which is all required.
That's a great thought. I think for me, the key takeaways in this episode are: one is confidence and how much it means to you in a larger scheme of things, and the fact that, be nice to your partner, be kind to your partner, because pleasure and sensuality is not just about sex. It's also, in a way, to put it very simply, love. And love is a verb. Love is not something that can happen automatically. Make an effort, at least after a point. I
Yes.
feel relationships only last because you make an
Yes,
effort.
absolutely. It takes effort to make them work.
So another great episode of The Pleasure Principle with Dr. Mansi. Doctor, thank you so much for your time. It was lovely as always to hear your thoughts and your experiences, which will help everybody. We're going to come back with another episode next week. Don't forget to tell us what you want to talk about, what you want to hear from Dr. Mansi. If you have a question or a topic you want us to explore, please let us know in the comment section. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with everybody who needs a little bit of love and happiness in their lives.
94.3 Radio 1.